Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for Rated Raw Review, episode 21, Yeet to Sleep, reviewing the May 20th edition of WWE Raw as only we can, but we got a little special something for you this week because no, I am not joined by my usual co-host, Mr. Romeo Anthony Colon. We are joined by a very special guest this week, one of the faces of Fightful Overbooked. You've seen him on the Fightful main channel. You've seen his written work. You've seen him here on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel before, helping me out with all the other reviews that I need help with because he comes in the clutch. Minnesota Timberwolves #1 fan and the president of the fan club. He is Rob Wilkins.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And it's been a busy time with the fan club going on, making sure everybody's in place for the big game tomorrow on First Avenue in Minneapolis, making sure everything's ready to go, making sure the parking ramps are all open and parking's all set up. So we're just ready to rock, so it's going to be fun.
Do you take care of like VIP and valeting? Like I hear you have like multiple hats that you play in the Minnesota Timberwolves infrastructure.
You know what I pretty much do is I tell Alex Rodriguez the way I want it to be, and he takes care of everything. So,
I respect you.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what we're gonna do. You might not like it, but this is what we're gonna do, and this is what you're gonna do. So, that's how it goes.
You'd be like, yeah, you're gonna do what I say, and because I've been through enough. It's been 20 years for Rob. I'm not happy for you. I'm living vicariously through you on this Minnesota Timberwolves because y'all did what I wanted my team to do, and that's beat the Nuggets. So I respect the hell out of y'all.
Yeah, if we make it to the finals, that's a dream like that I did not think was possible this year. And I'll be the first one to say I'll be doing my Mark Madsen dance. So, so some people are like, no, we can't have that, but it is what it is. And I'm gonna.
We seriously now. I'm literally. I hope Maggie's watching somewhere because we're gonna need the Rob Wilkins like at the parade like video blog or vlog on coexisting. If they all win the championship, that's what I need. I need the Rob Wilkins vlog at the parade.
I will be at that parade. That is for damn sure. So.
This is why Rob's the man. This is why Rob's the man, y'all. But yes, he is here to join us to talk about some Minnesota Timberwolves, but also some Monday Night Raw from last night, the May 20th edition of Monday Night Raw, as we gear up for WWE King and Queen of the Ring, which is coming up this coming Saturday live from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Are you excited for this Saturday's event? We're going to be doing our preview tomorrow, but wanted to hear your thoughts. How excited after watching last night's show are you for everything that's going on? Excuse me, got technical difficulties everywhere, but but how excited are you for tomorrow's show, this Saturday show?
The thing is I'm like everybody else. I enjoy the Saturday afternoon shows because it gives you something to do. Like it gives you an excuse to stay home and do not much of anything if you want to. The show, it's build-up's been somewhat weird, but I always felt that way for a lot of the Saudi shows. They kind of always felt weird. I'm looking forward to seeing Cody versus Logan Paul. Gunther, depending on who I'm just assuming we're going to see Gunther versus Randy Orton. That's just my assumption. I'm looking forward to that match because that could be a good match. And it's just, both those matches, and then you have seeing who Lyra might be taking on, that's gonna be good stuff too. So the show's looking pretty good. I am intrigued by it a little bit more. Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, and Bronson Reed last night added another level for me because I'm hoping we see, and we'll talk about that I assume in the first match, but that added another level for me, and I'll explain that why here shortly.
100%. I would say out of all the matches that they are building for this Saturday show, the Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat got the strongest final build on last night's show. But we're going to give you our thoughts and break down what happened on last night's Monday Night Raw, as we always do here on Rated Raw Review. We appreciate y'all if you're watching us live. We appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. You could drop a thumbs up on the video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, y'all know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, if you're watching us on Facebook, you're watching us on Twitter, you're watching us on YouTube, sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you and hear your thoughts on last night's Monday Night Raw. So share those thoughts in the live chat and we'll interact with all of you as the show goes on. We got already in the chat with us today. We got Safet who said sup. We also got Eric Isaac who says what's up, fellas. King Gunther and Queen Naya is on the way, and least have Braun versus Braun in the future. And of course, if you're feeling generous and you want to give back to what we do here, the best way to do that, if you're watching us on YouTube, is with a super chat donation like the good brother Will Chisholm. Thank you so much, Will. As always, one of our biggest supporters here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. He says, I love the perk Gable sign in the crowd last night. Man, they were fully, this crowd last night was fully embracing Chad Gable as the new Kurt Angle throughout the night. What did you think about that?
I thought that was great. I did, and he seemed, the thing is wrestlers are so good, like in the WWE, like with crowd reactions. Yeah. And the one thing that I'll say is yesterday, he seemed very surprised by that, like a good surprise. Like I just kind of like the way he looked, and that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. The crowd, Greensboro is always a good crowd. I mean, we know that. So that was good. I really enjoyed that, and the crowd brought it last night too. So that was fun.
Yeah, I think that crowd was great last night. One of my friends was actually at the event with his son, and he said he had a ball and even stayed afterwards to meet up with Becky Lynch and all the superstars who came out afterwards. Yeah, the Greensboro crowd, one of the better ones in a while, even though I heard, some people kind of mixed reviews as far as like saying that it was quiet during different times, but I think it was only quiet during one match, and that's kind of always the theme on Monday Night Raw. The women's tag team matchup is usually the one where the crowd is kind of quiet.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. And, that was that. I mean, that's average for Raw. There's always that one. I wouldn't say, I don't want to disrespect the wrestlers by any means, but there's always that one match that kind of slows the momentum of the show. And
true.
And last night it was unfortunately that tag team match, but I don't necessarily know if it's always their match, because I do enjoy, I think it comes down to who's wrestling in those matches for me.
That's true.
So, but I enjoyed the show. And nothing really stood out, like as far as like this is a drag, because the show went by, like I said before the show started, it went by quick for me, I thought, and that's really all I can ask for. I enjoyed all 3 hours, and they gave us a good show.
Absolutely. Can't agree with you more, but let's get into what went down on last night's Monday Night Raw from the Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina. We saw the participants in both the Queen of the Ring tournament as well as King of the Ring tournament semifinals on the night arriving in the building. We see Gunther arriving earlier in the day. We also saw Jey Uso arriving, and as Jey Uso is arriving up, we see on the right-hand side, we see Liv Morgan. Well, first we see Damage Control show up, and we see Liv get out of a black car. And then we see Jay arrive, and we see Finn come out that same black car. So what have you been thinking about these Easter eggs they've been having with Liv Morgan seemingly trying to woo the Judgment Day to replace Rhea Ripley? That's how I'm putting together this whole story and the Easter eggs they keep dropping for us.
Well, the first thing I'd say is I absolutely love that WWE is going towards like the Easter egg part. That gives you a reason to watch and a reason to pay attention. I think that's good. It goes the same with the QR codes and the background stuff that we used to see with the Firefly Funhouse, how you'd see a puppet here and there. So I really enjoy that, and that was a nice little surprise to see Finn get out of that, Finn and Liv, to see where they're going with this. You know, maybe it's
I was like, is all of the Judgment Day flirting with Liv right now? I thought it was just gonna be a Dom thing, but apparently Finn is giving her a ride to the show. Hey, I mean, I guess what they say, you know, I don't know if you've heard this, you know, in Minnesota, but I've heard it plenty of times in New York City. Ain't no fun if the homies don't get none.
yeah. I've heard it here. It was somebody just flying over, but yeah, flyover country here. But yeah, I would agree with that.
We also got chilling with Chase, who says Liv trying to be step mommy. That's a good one. That was a good one. Step mommy.
I've seen a lot of those videos, so I understand.
Whoa! You know, my missus could probably hear what I'm saying here, so let me continue on with the show.
Sorry, Mrs. SP3, my bad.
The show kicked off in the building with the Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn coming out to a really good reaction from the Greensboro crowd. Sami is going to be in one-on-one action against one of his challengers for WWE King and Queen of the Ring coming up on Saturday, Chad Gable, here tonight. Zayn gets on the microphone and explains why he chose to defend his Intercontinental Championship in a triple threat match. He had different issues with Bronson Reed and Chad Gable. While Bronson Reed, it was more a professional rivalry. Chad Gable was a lot more personal after Chad Gable German suplexed him out of his wife's hands. He says he's decided to deal with them at the same time. Zayn's issues with Gable, he says that Gable has had an ass kicking coming to his way for a long time, and his issues with Reed were all about the title. This match would be a battle of mind, body, and soul, and he says that you can't count out the soul because Gable represents the mind because he was manipulative and crafty. Reed's strength and brute force represented the body, while Zayn was the soul. His heart and passion were why he was the champion, and that's why he defeated the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in history, and why he would walk out as champion on Saturday. This brought out one of his challengers, Chad Gable, flanked by the Alpha Academy. He didn't appreciate being called manipulative. He wasn't manipulative when he helped coach Sami Zayn to that win at WrestleMania 40 because he is selfless. He was too nice. That was his problem. He was too nice to Zayn and too nice to these three clowns talking about the Alpha Academy. He called Maxine Dupree a failure for losing in the Queen of the Ring tournament, Akira Tozawa a failure for doing 0 damage to Reed last week, and then he moved on to Otis, with the crowd really getting behind Otis here, even chanting his name. Gable called Otis the biggest appointment on the planet. Zayn asked Alpha Academy how much longer they were going to deal with Gable's crap. Gable said that Zayn couldn't drive a wedge between them because they already rededicated themselves to him. Gable was tired of hearing Zayn's heart and soul. Gable said that he didn't have to pin Zayn to win the title, but he planned on doing so. Gable would take his title and his soul, while Zayn said that the title match was in 5 days, so he called Gable into the ring for their official match here. And what we got was a nice spirited affair, not as good as their matchup back in Montreal for the Intercontinental Championship, because this one was more about the story at play. As they went to commercial break, we get Tozawa. Gable tries to get Tozawa as well as Maxine to help him in the matchup at various points, but neither one are able to go through with it. Gable was was so pissed off that he decides to eject his members of the of Alpha Academy, Tozawa and Maxine, from ringside as if he were the referee. Zayn used the distraction to hit a big Blue Thunder Bomb for a near fall. At that point, we get a replay of the Blue Thunder Bomb as we go to commercial break, and we see the QR code for the latest Wyatt 6 tease. The crowd chanted for Otis as we come back from a commercial break. Gable was handing out German suplexes to Zayn. Zayn would reverse hit a German suplex of his own and then a Michinoku driver for a near fall. He went for the haluva kick, but Gable was able to pick his leg and get the ankle lock in before Zayn was able to get to the ropes. Gable chucked Zayn out of the ring in front of Otis, to kind of distracting the referee so Otis could help him out. But Otis couldn't pull the trigger, just like Tozawa and Maxine. This leads to Gable going to the outside and berating Otis, slapping him across the face. Gable then grabs the Intercontinental Championship. He tries to use it as a weapon, but Zayn hits an exploder in the corner as the referee is trying to get the Intercontinental title and check on Gable in the corner. On the other corner, Zayn is gearing up for the haluva kick, but out of nowhere, Otis gets on the apron, hits a big clothesline to Zayn as the referee is distracted. Gable uses this to hit the Chaos Theory suplex for the 1-2-3 and pins the Intercontinental Champion. I thought this was a good match here. Gable posed in celebration after the matchup, made sure to stand in front of Otis to block him from the camera, and I absolutely love this Greensboro crowd hopefully have started a trend like the France crowd started, with fans now singing the Randy Orton Voices theme song on his way to the ring. I hope that Greensboro started the trend of fans now chanting "You suck" in the tune of Gable's theme song, like they did back in the day for Kurt Angle. I think that is something that should and will stick with him, because that was really, really good. I really enjoyed overall the character work of Chad Gable. I think that was the highlight of this matchup here and the story being told with the Alpha Academy. What did you think?
Yeah, exactly. You hit it right on the head. The match was good. The match was fun. You had Gable being the prick that he's supposed to be. You were hoping that Otis would finally just have enough of it. I think they're saving that up. Well, obviously they're saving that because the crowd's going to go nuts. We know that once Otis has enough, I mean, they're going to make Otis a star in a way, because they're going to have another big guy that is just going to he's going to be very popular once he goes like on his own. I think, because he's just that popular already with a lot of the younger fans out there. Otis is one of the most popular wrestlers.
It really feels like they're getting Otis, not to interrupt you, but it really feels like they're getting Otis back to where he was pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is Otis is one of is a lot of kids like favorites, like one of their favorite, not like their absolute favorite, but he's one of their favorite that they enjoy and like they like to talk about and stuff like that. That was a something I read from a focus standpoint, and I think that's going to go over pretty big once that happens. The match was good. It worked. It was the first time that I recall seeing a wrestler that wasn't a special guest referee send them back to the locker room. I actually found that comical. I thought it was pretty good, because it's probably happened before. I just didn't remember it. So I thought that was good. I also thought, like you said, the match in Montreal was a lot better. This last night was the second time that they've ever faced one-on-one. So they're both one-on-one now. So even though Saudi is going to be a triple threat match, it's still going to be interesting, because I don't see Sami losing the title in Saudi. That's just me. I mean, maybe he loses it, but I just don't picture it happening yet.
I think if we didn't get this result here, they could have worked it out where they put the title on Gable, but I think they're telling more of like a long-term story, and Gable getting this win really kind of already helps him out even if he loses on Saturday, because now he has a claim to get a singles title shot because he beat the champion one-on-one.
Yeah. And the only thing I did not like about this match, and there's a way you could still protect it, because I see your point. The one thing that I didn't like is I don't like seeing the champions get pinned.
Yeah.
I just don't. I would have preferred I think what they could have done is the ref catch Otis hit Sami, something like that. That way you get the DQ. Sami wins. Chad Gable's still fine. Like, he's still fine. It doesn't hurt him, like for his match. I that's my only issue with it, but I do understand why they did it that way last night, because it helps build Otis in a way too. So I think it was, even though I don't think it was the right call, I get it. That's probably the easiest way to say it. I understand why they did it that way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm always apprehensive about a champion losing, especially this close to a premium live event. And honestly, you kind of always gotta ask, what was the point of booking it in the first place?
Yeah.
But the fact that they booked it, I thought that it was probably the most likely scenario and the logical result if they weren't going to do a DQ or count out finish.
Yeah.
We got Josh in the chat who says, solid match, but great Alpha Academy storyline progression. This whole episode was great. All Alpha Academy storyline progression. Like I said at the top of the show, I think that this was the one feud that was helped out the most on this go. This is a go home show, but I don't think that it was like focused on pushing King and Queen of the Ring as much as it should have been. I felt like another matchup on the card has been really much neglected in the build up to the show, but this one really got revved up in a big way throughout the show, and we got more to discuss with the backstage segments throughout the night that would go on later on. We also got Savet, who agrees with you. He says the champion shouldn't get pinned. And we got Big Man Dogs. He says, I like that Gable won because it was surprising. Makes the TV matches less of a foregone conclusion going forward. That I agree with. And then I think that's mainly why I was okay with this loss here for Sami.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that.
Ahead of the Queen of the Ring semifinals, we got a really cool video package with Io Sky in the water. She is now a mermaid, I guess. She spoke about her dominance and said everyone would have to bow down to her. She says she has already been champion of the world and now she will be Queen of the Ring. She said Valkyria has flown too close to the sun and Lyra was in her domain because she was the genius of the sky. I always enjoy how they're able to put together, and I really feel like these vignettes for Io Sky are better produced for getting across her character than even the Shinsuke Nakamura ones. I feel like the Shinsuke Nakamura ones peaked after like 2 or 3 of them. Now they all seem the same to me. Where Io because they spreaded it out with certain ones every couple of weeks, these feel much fresher.
Yeah, they do, and I like that. It gives a bit more focus on her. And the one thing too that I enjoyed is it didn't make me think about the damage control as much either.
Yeah.
It not that damage control is going anywhere. It gave me more of a focus on her, and that's a good thing, I think, because everybody in damage control is just really good. They're all good wrestlers, and in my opinion, Dakota Kai still doesn't get as much respect as she deserves because I think she's unbelievably talented. But I did enjoy this. I thought it was good, and I've enjoyed the Shinsuke Nakamura one still. Like, even though I can totally see your point on how they seem repetitive, this I like the standpoint of where they're going, and I know we'll talk about it here shortly, but even the Gunther one last night was good.
Yeah, that was really good as well. We had Jackie Redmond. She was backstage trying to interview Chad Gable about his win, but there was a big commotion nearby, and she left to find out what happened. We see the LWO have found Cruz del Toro laid out with an injury. Adam Pearce frantically calls for medical, and it seems that Carlito attacked Cruz del Toro backstage, or at least that's what we're told, because there was someone else who would be attacking people backstage that we'll get to shortly. But what do you think about the attack on Cruz del Toro? Carlito did say later on in the night that it was him that attacked Cruz del Toro, but I don't know if you can believe Carlito or not.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was just I don't believe that it was Carlito, because just the way the reaction was to it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main thing. If you watch it again, if you go back, you can see how he seemed surprised when they brought it up. And then all of a sudden he just went with it. And that was that's what I thought was very subtle. But I think it was good. The only thing that I'll say about this is very repetitive type situation. You're kind of doing the same thing where we have to kind of wait for you to drop the news on who was it. So, and you just did that less than a month ago you're kind of just repeating the story. It's just a little bit, it's just with two different wrestlers in my eyes.
I definitely feel you on that. It does seem a little repetitive in that regard for sure. But moving on, you had next up another person who would make an impact on this show outside of the Alpha Academy and Chad Gable story. I think that the big takeaway from this episode is Braun Breaker is here on Monday Night Raw, and he is going to be a force. He went one-on-one in his debut on Monday Night Raw as an official member of the roster against Cale Dickinson. Braun started off the matchup basically looking in the corner, had his back turned to his opponent, and he was very much annoyed. He was like, first, I get left out of the King of the Ring tournament, and then he basically was like, now I'm against this guy, and he turns around and completely spears the shit out of Dixon. Immediately, Dixon looks like he cracked a rib off of that spear. He chucks him out of the ring to the outside. He runs full speed around the ring for another spear, totally breaking the ribs of Dixon again. The referee checked on Dixon, and then immediately as Braun puts him back into the ring, it looks like he's not done. The referee just stops the match. He referee stoppage, saying that Dixon cannot continue. Braun was very much annoyed. So as the referee picks up Dixon, he delivers a third spear, taking him out, taking him to the outside. He then continues the brutalization, bringing him over to the steel steps. He has his head basically over the steel steps, and he grabs a steel chair and just the nastiest looking smash of the head with the steel chair against the steel steps. This jobber, this Cale Dickinson, is stretchered out of the building. Adam Pearce comes out and he's totally speechless as Braun says, "This is on you." A stretcher was brought out for him. He stretchered to the back. This really put over Braun in a big way, and the crowd were very much into what Braun Breaker was putting down here. I like that Pat McAfee, in fact, let us know that Cale Dickinson was on The Bachelorette. I did not know that. But that's a nice little fact. Thank you, Pat McAfee. After the commercial break, we see Dixon was wheeled into an ambulance. Kiana James appears to ask Pearce if he needed any assistance, which he politely declines. Pearce then sees Braun nearby, and he asks him what the hell was he thinking with this attack. Braun tells him Pearce can't control him. He says this was on Pearce because he didn't put him in the King of the Ring tournament. Hey, Braun Breaker being a heel, this is unhinged. Braun Breaker as a heel is so much better than Goldberg Ryback 2.0 that they've been trying to do with him on the main roster for the past, how long he's been on the main roster? It's been like 2 months, but they've been trying to push him as Goldberg Ryback 2.0. It was not working. This worked.
Yes. Yeah, it absolutely worked. And that's the thing. You're seeing him. He's acting like a douche, and that's a good thing for his character. He you're kind of wondering who's going to get in front of him, who's going to stop him. Because I feel like we're going to see something next week where we see Adam Pearce like try to stop him do something. He's not going to have enough. He's not going to stop. So Adam Pearce is going to bring somebody in to take him on, and that person's going to end up losing, putting over Braun Breaker. So it's very interesting to see what route they go with this, because I do find it pretty intriguing the way they are headed right now.
Absolutely. And it seems like Josh is the same way. He says, I rolled my eyes when it was going to be another squash, and then it happened, and it was one of my favorite things on the show. Insane Braun is great. Yeah, this could have been like just any other Braun Breaker squash, but they actually gave him some character development here, which was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, he's doing a really great job. He's doing a great job at being pissed off. So
absolutely. Like the way he screams, it comes off with so much rage, like uncontrollable rage. Like it's almost like he's too immature to deal with the anger that he has.
Yeah. Yep.
We got Big Man Dogs. He says this kind of had the vibes of those WCW segments that purposely went too long to make you feel that something unplanned happened. Yes. And that Von Wagner, that's the same spot that he kind of did with Von Wagner, except he smashed Von Wagner's head with the steel steps. But that chair shot looked nasty. That chair shot on Dixon.
That all that looked nasty on Dixon, man. He did a good job last night selling. So even that spear looked like that felt really good. Braun Breaker did his job really well last night. You know, that's the thing. He did everything. He did everything to make himself look like the prick that he was, and that's promising for me, because he's doing really well, and it makes sense. Like, being pissed off that you're not in the King of the Ring, that's a good thing. Like, even if Adam Pearce talked to him, I like that he's still pissed off that he's not in it, and I'm very intrigued to see where this goes with him, to see what they end up doing to try to calm the situation. Like, what does Adam Pearce do? So this makes it interesting.
And you make a great point, because it works twofold, because not only is this whole story kind of giving Braun Breaker a character, but his anger off of not being in the King of the Ring tournament elevates the King of the Ring, because he's this angry because he wasn't in the King of the Ring. So it makes the King of the Ring feel bigger. So it's a very good kind of story beat here, with the fact that he's showing this much anger about not being in the tournament.
Yeah.
We get Will Chisholm with a super chat donation. Thank you so much once again, Will. He says, so he's a quiet version of Uncle Scott. Yes, he's a non-roided up version of Uncle Scott. Except Uncle Scott has never been this angry. Like, even when Scott Steiner was angry, he just walked around with a steel pipe and just beat people with it. Yeah. He wasn't like completely spearing people into broken ribs. And then we're going to talk about later what Braun continued to do throughout the night, because he was not done establishing himself as a force on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, no, and you know, that's the thing. Like, he, you know, Scott Steiner, like, he had a different kind of feel to him. Like, he beat the hell out of people, but Braun, he's obviously different, and I'm curious to see where they go with him. But Scott Steiner, he wanted to just, like, in a way, tortured people too, like, just the way he just, with the suplexes, with the way he threw people down. And I do get the same vibes with Braun Breaker, and I saw it in chat that somebody said it, that Big Man Dogs, the Pop Pierce says something, saying something about math to Braun. Like I love that stuff, and I like how at first I always thought, like, why don't you use the Steiner name? Like I always thought that was crazy that they didn't use it, because I think it would just make him even a bigger star than he is right now. And maybe down the road they'll do that, because we know WWE has a tendency to change names. Granted, the person that did that a lot is gone, so we'll have to see. But I do like where they're going with Braun right now, and I was kind of nervous because I was like, what can you do with him if he's just going to be defeating people? Because then you're going to put him in the Intercontinental like title scene or world title scene soon, and I don't think he's ready for that, because his mic skills aren't there yet. They're getting better than where they were, but we'll just have to see. So I like the direction he's headed, and I do think he needs to be a heel for quite a while.
100% agree with you there. Well, we get a video package for the Queen of the Ring semifinals between Io Sky and Lyra Valkyria, documenting their wins last week to set up the semifinals. Then we see Lyra getting ready in gorilla position when WWE Women's World Champion Becky Lynch comes up. She says she knew how good Lyra was when she stepped in the ring with her and told her to go show everyone why the hard work was worth it. So Becky giving her a pep talk before she goes out for a first time ever matchup against Io Sky here. And boy, oh boy, did WWE give these women a whole bunch of time, and they delivered a damn good matchup. You get Sky early on, dominates for a while after the first commercial break that came about like 90 seconds into the matchup. Lyra slapped her back, hit an impressive looking German suplex. Lyra followed up with a clothesline, kicks, an enziguri, a flying crossbody, and a fisherman suplex for a 2 count. Sky would counter that with some double knee strikes in the corner for a 2 count. The crowd was pretty quiet throughout this matchup, but they started to buzz a little bit as Lyra applied a cool looking submission move, like a pendulum swing submission move at one point. Then she followed that up by applying a crossface, but Io was able to reverse out of that into a crossface of her own. Sky was able to come back. She hits a springboard dropkick, sending Lyra to the floor, and then an Acai moonsault, beautiful looking move to the outside, which led us to our second commercial break. We come back from commercial break. They start trading strikes. Sky hits a double foot stomp for a 2 count. Sky misses a Meteora, but Lyra hits a tornado DDT. She hits another version of a Fisherman Buster for a 2 count. Lyra blocked a moonsault attempt, but Sky was able to power bomb out of the corner, a sunset flip power bomb for a 2 count. Sky would then follow up and put her in position for the moonsault, but Lyra was able to reverse. Lyra tries for the Nightwing, but Sky goes for a sunset flip, but Lyra pulls out the Bret Hart, the British Bulldog Bret Hart finish, sit down on the sunset flip attempt, grabbing the legs for the cover and the 1-2-3 to pick up the victory here. This match going just over 19 minutes. This was a great matchup that I thought it was a really, really good matchup that would have been great if the crowd was a little bit more invested into it, but a damn good effort from both ladies here, as the crowd did get into it towards the end and the closing stretch of the matchup, which really made Lyra's win feel bigger, the biggest win of her run so far on Monday Night Raw. After the matchup, Jackie Redmond interviewed Lyra in the ring. Lyra admitted she did not see herself in this position 3 weeks ago when she got drafted. Before she can continue, Io Sky interrupts to yell at her in Japanese. But then Lyra continues and says she believes she could get it done, and she was one Nightwing away from becoming the Queen of the Ring. Lyra Valkyria wins the Raw side of the Queen of the Ring bracket, and she will face the winner of Bianca Belair versus Nia Jax this Friday on SmackDown. What did you think about the match here?
Oh, solid match. Very good match. Second favorite match of the night. And that's saying something, because Sami Zayn and Chad Gable had a great match too. But I really enjoyed this match. And like you said, giving them nearly 20 minutes, that goes a long ways with me, compared to where we used to be with women's wrestling on Raw and just on U.S. television in general. So I like that they gave him nearly 20 minutes. I enjoyed the match. You got two great stars going at it. I mean, Lyra's going to be a star. It's going to take a little time, but EO's EO, like it was fun. It was good. And I liked EO's response. She being mad is what you're supposed to be like when you lose a match.
Yeah.
So
it just showed that this match meant a lot to her, and the Queen of the Ring honor meant a lot to her, and that her reaction elevates once again the tournament. So they're doing a great job. You got to give WWE credit for the presentation and the way certain characters are reacting to tournament losses, tournament wins, not being in the tournament. It has really elevated the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments this year. And Josh making a good point, saying really good match, and I hear it went 19 minutes, which was 1 minute longer than all of the 2021 Queen of the Ring matches combined.
holy crap. Wow, that's a good stat, man.
That is a good stat. Jesus. Josh says
that's our stump the Schwab moment right there, man. Wow. Well, I mean, the difference is, Josh, you're still here, so that's good.
Exactly. He says, Josh says, I wish the crowd was more into both women's matches because they were both really good. We also got Eric Isaac who says Lyra is a future star indeed. I agree. And we got Chris who says Nia Jax is definitely winning on Friday. She's my pick to win because I honestly don't see the point of Bianca Belair even making it to the finals, other than she is a big star and it does elevate, the Queen of the Ring, King of the Ring, to have big stars competing for it. But Nia Jax just makes more sense for the Lyra Valkyria part of the story because that's a big obstacle for her to go against. Whether she wins or loses, it matters.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. The other thing too that I always like about the King of the Ring is who can you picture with the crown on? I can picture the crown on Nia more than I can picture it on Bianca. The same goes with Gunther. I can picture it on Gunther more than I can with Randy Orton. So, but I figured when they put Gunther in the tournament, I'm like, well, there's your winner. That's what I was going at, and yeah, exactly. It's good. So Nia, I think, is going to win too, and I honestly think it's the right call because let's be honest, compared to where she was a couple years ago to where she is now, it's a different wrestler. So
yeah,
I'm
if she's not going to get another run with one of the titles, seems like the big thing to give her kind of give her a big accolade and achievement.
Yeah, because the next, like I was telling somebody not too long ago, and it might have been on my show, that the next title I think she might get would be a tag team title run. And that's the way I see it. So I think this would be good.
Backstage, we got a couple of backstage segments here. First, R-Truth was with New Catch Republic, and he was explaining to Pete Dunne how to do the hokey pokey. Truth turned his head and Dunn was about to kill him, but Tyler Bate stopped him. Bate said they look forward to facing them for the titles one day before they left. And then Miz came in and was worried they would be at a disadvantage against the Judgment Day tonight, as they love to play the numbers game, and especially now that they have Carlito by their side. Truth said that he spoke to his good buddy Andre the Giant, and he had their back tonight. Miz informed Truth that Andre the Giant passed away 30 years ago, and Truth asked Miz, passed away where? Truth then told Miz to trust him before walking away. I mean, I didn't put it together, but it did make sense on who he really talked to and why he called him Andre the Giant.
Yeah. Oh man. And that's what's funny. I didn't realize it. Like when he said Andre the Giant, I'm like, who the hell is he talking about? Because I wasn't thinking Braun at all. I just wasn't. And it should have hit me when they were wrestling the Judgment Day. I'm like, that's when it should have hit me, but it just didn't. It escaped me. But R-Truth is, the easiest way to say it, he's a national treasure, and I just adore the guy. He makes the one thing that I've always said is one thing that I want wrestling to have are funny moments. I think every wrestling show should have that moment that makes you laugh. And R-Truth brings that part to Raw every week. So, and if it's not R-Truth, it's Kevin Owens on SmackDown. So that's what I enjoy. I think every wrestling show should have like a segment where you get a nice little laugh, and R-Truth delivers that. And you can't help but like the guy. And I think eventually we know that what will happen, like it always does. This gives the Miz a perfect opportunity down the road to turn heel again, because that's what the Miz does.
And yeah, we got Big Man Dog's mentioning Miz and Truth have a funny dynamic because Miz is usually not known as a smart guy either. So yeah, he's the smart one of the two, it
Yeah.
seems. But Big Man Dog says, I just want Truth to eventually turn heel and reveal that he's the mastermind. I'd be down for that.
Ooh, I like that idea a lot. I do enjoy that idea a lot. That would be interesting.
So Kayla Braxton was backstage interviewing Ilya Dragunov. Ilya said that there was no shame in losing to Jey Uso, and he was about to speak about Gunther, someone that he has a long history with, when Ricochet came in to talk some more trash and to tease that it is not over between them just because Ilya beat him. Ilya was getting quite upset when out of nowhere, suddenly Braun Breaker comes and totally spears Ricochet right out of the picture into some equipment boxes. Braun stood over Ricochet as officials ran in to check on him. After the commercial break, Pierce watched as medical staff tended to Ricochet. Dragunov was still there selling his arm while, Ricochet did shove him out the way. So at least Ricochet was looking out for Dragunov in some way.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean that was something. I mean they set that up too. So at least they're setting something up for Braun. They have a matchup set for him. So I assume that'll be on Raw like next week or the week after. So that's good. They set something up for that. And I just think it was a good call too, like to get him still going. And I don't really understand why it was Ricochet. Am I missing something? Was there something that happened the week before, or
no? But Ricochet was in the King of the Ring tournament.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, because I didn't know if they had a backstage vignette or something that I might have missed.
No, I think the only one that he had like a backstage segment with was Sheamus.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I think that Sheamus may be a little bit still injured or still getting back because that's why he's been off the last couple of weeks. But we'll get to Sheamus being mentioned later on in the night. Aforementioned.
I lost your audio. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, gotcha.
All right. So yeah, they did a video package for Jey Uso and Gunther. Gunther cut a promo in an empty arena earlier in the day. He admitted that he was wrong about Jey Uso, who has become the hottest thing on Monday Night Raw. Thousands of fans will chant his name tonight. Jey would fill them with hope and delusion. Gunther was in the business of taking hope away and dragging people down to reality. It wasn't about who was the more exciting act on the way to the ring. It was about who was the better wrestler in the ring. The fans would embrace Gunther when he beats Jey and goes on to become the king of the ring. Just everything Gunther says, it just feels like it matters. And I'm at full attention when Gunther is speaking.
Yeah.
What did you think about the promo?
Oh, I thought it was a great promo, and that's a fun thing about WWE right now is they're making their promos really, really intriguing right now, and I thought this was really good. It added more depth to Gunther, and that surprises me because I've already been intrigued with Gunther with what he brings to the table. So I thought this was done really well.
Absolutely agree with you there. I got a couple of comments that I see. People, yeah, my sound was off. Thank you guys. I always appreciate y'all. We got Josh who says Ilya's promo before the attack was really good too. He put over Jey Huge, which in turn makes his loss less bad, which it wasn't anyways, but that's how the fans took it. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in the long run why Dragunov had to take the loss, because they want to make sure that it's as big as possible when he finally does go one-on-one with Gunther.
Yeah. Do you think, and this is kind of going off topic here, do you think that for a little while that we might see Dragunov join Imperium for like a short time? Do you think that's possible?
I don't think that would be a good
I don't
thing,
think it's good.
honestly.
I'm just kind of wondering, like, if they're going to do something like for a little while, but I prefer them not to. It's just kind of the way things are going. I just kind of find it, I'm just curious to see if they do that, but I prefer them to always just be like foes, always be like against each other, never have them like side by side. They don't have to wrestle all the time. Like the next time I want to see those two in a ring together, like wrestle one-on-one, is I'm hoping WrestleMania, if Gunther's not in a title match. That's what I want.
I would be down for it, even if it's at Bash in Berlin. I feel like
Oh,
that
Bash at
crowd
the
would
Beach,
go
I'll take that too.
Bash in Berlin, but
Yeah.
I know. I think that Germany crowd would go crazy for that
Yeah,
matchup.
God.
That would be insane.
Damn. Yeah, that's a good point.
We got Big Man Dogs who says Gunther came off like a European Christmas show host during that promo. I won't elaborate. Yes, the walk down the stairs in the arena does look like, I get where you're coming from. Big Man Dogs.
Yep, I get that. I understand. That's good.
Judgment Day was backstage with Carlito. Finn Balor and JD McDonough told Damian Priest they would bring the tag team titles back to where they belong. Priest told Carlito the LWO would be pissed off about what he did to Del Toro. Carlito kind of was like, yeah. He knew they were coming after him, and he decided to strike first. Now he was laying low until the heat died down. Priest informed Carlito that they were not the APA and they would not be his personal protection. He says that Dominic mentions how Carlito came through for Balor and McDonough last week. So Priest said that he would still need to keep earning his keep to stick around this place. McDonough and Dom left. Balor told Priest that a part of him wished they were teaming tonight, but I get it. You're the champion. And they pump fists. I like that was kind of a little tease, maybe, to Finn having some growing frustration off of the spotlight being on Priest in the group and him being the leader now. After Balor left, though, Carlito just had to rub it in Damian Priest's old Brooklyn ass by mentioning the New York Knicks being eliminated. And Priest was like, dude, he was just annoyed and just left.
Yeah, I loved it. I love that. Like, that was just like perfect. That was just what, just perfect. Just bring it right in there. That was good.
It was like, you couldn't talk about hey, are you going to the Puerto Rican Day Parade? Like, come on, something y'all can relate on. Man, Carlito, help yourself out.
Come on, man. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be like an ESPN come on, man moment right there. You don't do that. So
backstage, we see Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. They're getting ready for a 4-way number one contenders matchup for the women's tag team titles. As they're getting ready, Sonya Deville makes her return to WWE TV for the first time in nearly a year. Baszler wasn't exactly happy to see Sonya. Sonya introduces herself to Zoe Starks and has a proposition for them both, but Baszler blows her off and leaves her with Stark. Later on in the night, we did see during a backstage segment with Alpha Academy, with Chad Gable and Otis in the background, an Easter egg was Sonya talking to Zoe and Shayna. So what do you think is at play here? Are we going to see maybe an association between Zoe, Shayna, and Sonya?
I think so. I think we're gonna see maybe some possibly management type thing until Sonya's ready to go, and then maybe like somebody that can take on Damage Control. I like that idea. I think, but I did enjoy that, and I love that Sonya's back. I'm a big fan of hers, and I like ideally what I was hoping is she would come back with Chelsea Green and they do their thing again because that was fun. But I do like that she's back, and I'm intrigued by this too because that's it's what we call good stuff, pal. And I liked the surprise that she was back. That was good.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise to see Sonya. Probably the most excitement I got on the show here.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
But going on, we move on to the next matchup, which was for the World Tag Team Championships. It was the Awesome Truth, R-Truth, and The Miz going up against the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and JD McDonough. We get a Dom distraction, which allows the Judgment Day to take control of the matchup, but not for too long, as after the commercial break, Truth comes in with a hot tag. He starts hitting the John Cena 5 moves of doom. He goes for the STF, but McDonough breaks it up. Truth tosses McDonough from the ring. Balor applies a schoolboy for a near fall, but then hits the sling blade. He tags in McDonough, but Truth and Miz get the upper hand. They hit the protoplex, followed by the 5-knuckle shuffle, or 10-knuckle shuffle, if you will. Carlito runs down to cause a distraction. Miz quickly knocks him off of the apron and wipes out Balor with a dive. Truth gave McDonough a flatliner, but Carlito was able to put McDonough's foot on the rope. It looked like the numbers were in the Judgment Day's advantage, but Braun Strowman comes out to make the save. He marches out. He launches Carlito into the barricade. Strowman chases McDonough around the ring, where he gets back into the ring, right into Truth, hitting the AA to pick up the victory here. This wasn't a good match in my eyes, but it was fine. It popped the crowd. The crowd enjoyed it. Braun Strowman got the crowd, really into this on their feet at the end here. And it seems to be setting up maybe a multi-man matchup with Strowman and Awesome Truth versus the Judgment Day down the line here. So what did you think?
I for what it was, I thought it was good. I think you hit it right on the head. It wasn't the best match. It wasn't the greatest, but you got to see the faces get a victory. They won, and plus you got to see JD. People like seeing JD get his ass kicked. So
every week. Every week. They love to see it. They love to see it. Chris says that Io suffered a broken nose in her matchup with Lyra Valkyria, so hopefully she won't have to miss any time. But that sucks whenever you get any type of injury in a matchup like that.
Yeah.
But speaking of Lyra, backstage, Becky Lynch congratulated her on her victory earlier in the night against Io Sky. After Lynch left, Liv Morgan approached Lyra and congratulated her on the win, but said how she worked with Becky for Becky's cheap shot last week. And then Liv says, "Oh, look at who's here," and basically acting like Becky was behind Lyra, and then gave her a cheap shot right in the jaw.
Yeah.
But this was more set up for probably later on in the night, and we'll get to that in a bit. Elsewhere backstage, you get Bronson Reed approaching Sami Zayn. Reed told Zayn that he shouldn't be worried about Gable's mind games. Reed called himself soulless. He would use his body as a weapon on Saturday and earn his biggest payday yet. Then we get a nice little segment with Otis coming in. Otis approaches Zayn, and Zayn says that he doesn't want to hear it. Otis cost him his match earlier. Zayn thought that he was better than that. He was pissed off, but then Otis apologizes. He says, "I'm sorry. I really am." And Zayn says that he believes him because he is a good guy, but he says that he's been in Otis's shoes before, a callback to his time in the bloodline. And he says the sooner that Otis stopped listening to Gable and start listening to the fans, he'd be way better off. And even in the background, in the locker room, you could hear the fans chanting for Otis. The fans are getting behind this story in a big way, and I love to see it. What did you think about this segment here?
I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it gave more. It made Otis look. We could always tell that Otis wasn't too thrilled with himself, and I think him going to Sami showed a lot, and it's just now a matter of time. Will this help? Will Saturday, will this be where Otis has enough? I think so. I think that's probably the best way to do it, where he finally has enough, and might cost Mr. Gable the chance at the Intercontinental title. That way you could set those two up for their little feud and go from there.
Yeah, it does seem like this is accelerating at a faster pace than I thought it would. I thought they would kind of slow burn this, but it is feeling like the turn, the eventual kind of the last straw for Otis is coming.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
start off
I think so.
We start off the third hour of Monday Night Raw with the WWE Women's World Champion Becky Lynch coming out to the ring. She notes that Liv Morgan hasn't beaten her before. They have a long history with one another, but Liv has not done one thing, and that's pin her. But we are dealing with a much different Liv Morgan now, which brings out Liv. She quickly interrupts and says that she didn't care about the other women on the roster, and she barely cared about Becky. She only cared about completing her revenge tour. Lynch said that Morgan has finally figured out her purpose, but Lynch couldn't relate because she has known her purpose since she was 15 years old and first walked into a wrestling gym. She wanted equality and to change the game, and she talked all about that as she broke through glass ceilings and main evented WrestleMania. She has a New York Times bestseller talking all about her purpose. Her purpose remains the same. When she left this place, she wanted it to be better than how she found it. And Lynn said Morgan's purpose was revenge, but wondered what she would do next once she got it. Morgan mocked her comments about breaking barriers because Lynch was the most selfish person in the company to live. Lynch didn't care about this place or the fans. The fans chanted want to live throughout this, but Liz said that they couldn't hear her because they had their heads shoved up Becky's ass.
Yeah.
Morgan said she would get her revenge, and after 10 long years, she would finally stand on top of the division as champion. Lynch said that the fans knew Morgan was lying. You can't fool the fans, and they knew she would always put her body on the line for them. Lynch was ready for a fight right here, right then, and wanted Morgan to put her money where her mouth is. Morgan teased getting in the ring, but backed off and said that she would wait until Saturday and become the new champion. So it is going to go down King and Queen of the Ring, Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan for the WWE Women's World Championship. Surprisingly, I saw on social media there's some people who are not feeling this rivalry so far. And I will say that overall, in the build up to King and Queen of the Ring, this whole build up or rivalry has kind of took a backseat to the King of the Ring tournament, the Queen of the Ring tournament, the Intercontinental title scene, the World Heavyweight Championship, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. This feels like the 6th, 7th most important thing on this show, which more or less makes me believe that this is the first of a couple of premium live event matches we're going to get from Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch. But in my eyes, I think to do that, you have to have Liv win on Saturday.
Yeah, I do too. I think that's the way you do it. I think you have Otis. Why the hell was I going there?
You're loving you some Otis on this show, man.
Yeah. Well, no, I saw the comment. What Big Man Dogs said, and that's why I said it. I've said this on my show all the time. If I see something on a teleprompter, I'm like Ron Burgundy. Who put that on the teleprompter? So, but no, I think Liv Morgan's going to get the victory on Saturday. She's going to become the world champion, and she's still going to be the pain in the ass backstage for the women, because she's going to be continuing to do what she's going to do until Rhea gets back, and I don't know how long that is, but she's still going to cause chaos and stuff like that for not only Becky, but also Rhea when she returns, and whoever else, and probably Lyra, so.
Yeah. You got Big Man Does. He says, "I'm actually not feeling this feud at all, to be honest." And I'll let y'all know. I'll pull back the curtain. I had two Becky Lynch fans, two well-known Becky Lynch fans from the wrestling media world, in Rick Ucchino and our very own Stephanie Hypes, they were even saying that they are not really feeling the feud. But then they tried to kind of make it out to be like, "Oh, it doesn't feel like Becky should drop the title just now in her first defense," and I'm like, that's because y'all are Becky Lynch fans. Like, the reason why this feud is not working for even them is because Becky as the champion is stale. We've been there. We've done that. We've seen that before. Like, I had Rick who said, "Oh, they should be booking her title reign like her NXT title run." I was like, no, they should not, because they just did that. That's a retread. Don't do that again. We did that. We've been there. We've done that. And who did that help? That helped Tiffany Stratton and Lyra Valkyria on the NXT roster. It didn't help anybody on the main roster. Tegan Knox, Xia Li, who's not even working here anymore. Those were the people Becky worked with during that NXT title run. And so it doesn't. You're not going to have that same translation, and it's not going to help the people on the main roster if you try to book it the same.
Yeah, and Tegan sounds like she might be going down back to NXT for a little while. That's not official, but I mean,
yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. So I think that what we need is a different alignment. We need Liv as the champion. So then her cockiness and her new attitude kind of feels like you have something to kind of be like cocky about. That's what I feel needs to be done here.
Exactly. Yeah.
We got Power Driver Finisher. He says, "I dig this feud." We also got Safet, who says, "Liv should have bring up Becky not re-signing the contract." I didn't even they did a contract signing? When did they do a contract signing?
No, I think he's talking about like kayfabe,
okay.
I believe that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but yeah, I think he's talking about re-signing, like how she hasn't re-signed yet.
Yeah, because I know her contract is supposed to be expiring at the end of the month, which Becky has all the cards in her hand. She has all the leverage here.
Oh yeah, she's gonna get that big ass contract offer at least. So we'll see.
We got Safet saying, "I love it when Liv trolls the fans with the what chants." And we also got Power Driver Finisher. He says, "I just like Liv acting all cute and shit while folks getting annoyed by her attitude. Cry about it." That's fair. That's fair. Backstage, Priest was annoyed with Carlito and the rest of the Judgment Day. Priest told McDonough to go to Pierce and request a match against Braun Strowman next week. Priest said that he didn't even recognize the Judgment Day anymore and walked out on the team as Balor called for Priest, like, "Please, Dad, don't leave us. Don't be disappointed in us.
Don't go. Please don't go." Yeah.
And then Balor, as the older brother of the group, agreed with Daddy, and he said, "Yeah, I don't even recognize us either." He was annoyed too and told McDonough to go talk to Pierce right now. Oh, the Judgment Day come off very weird without Rhea Ripley to me.
They do, but it's the one thing is that they do come off weird, but it's somewhat entertaining for me too, though.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'll give them that.
I can't deny that. It is.
The other thing too, here's something I wanted to bring up about that. I've seen some people say that in the background they saw the demon like suitcase or something, but I have also seen some people say that they've seen that a couple of times. Like that must be just something he travels with. So I didn't like that's the first time I've seen it. Have you seen it before? Like
Oh no, I don't pay attention always to the Easter eggs unless they're like right over the head, like the Liv and
I don't like that's the thing. I don't know if
this
was an Easter egg or not. Because I know our Fightful account posted it this morning, like about you could see the demon like I don't even know if it was a suitcase or what it was, but some people were like, like excited, and then some were like, "Oh, that's been on there or a few times." And it was the first time I caught it, or I saw it, so I was just curious because I haven't seen it before.
Hmm. Maybe interesting, maybe something we got to take note of for the future. But we come back from a commercial break and we see Xavier Woods was giving a medical clearance. Kofi Kingston was pumped up, said he was going to talk to Pierce about getting them back in some tag team action. When Karrion Kross and Scarlett approached Woods, Kross was glad that Woods was cleared and reminded Woods that there was always time to turn things around. Kross also said the same thing to Kingston the week prior. So here we are. Here we are. I guess we're teasing Authors of Pain versus New Day in the future.
Yeah, I guess that's Judgment Day feuding with the, Judgment Day feuding with, or no, excuse me, um, Testament
Yeah.
feuding with the New Day is kind of like it'd be it just doesn't do much for me because it's 3-on-2 there. So I'm kind of just, I mean, they can always get somebody else, but I mean, would they get maybe Jey Uso? But then that would kind of slow him down, I think. But I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It definitely would feel like a step back for Jey Uso, but I don't know what's next for him after this show here. And I will say, WWE could have done a better job with pacing this show, because this was like the second time in the show that we had nearly 30 minutes between matches.
Oh
Like
yeah, I didn't.
I'm all for promo work and stuff to build up, the pay-per-view, but that's like long stretches without matches.
Yeah, I didn't realize that at all.
We get our fatal four-way women's number one contender matchup, tag team match. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark versus Maxine Dupree and Ivy Now versus Katana Chance and Kaden Carter versus Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane of Damage Control. Another match that barely went like 90 seconds before we got our first commercial break. They had a nice little dive, headstand, kickstand, cake stand, excuse me, dive by Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. They traded some spots until Maxine Dupree really got a spotlight in this one, hit a reverse worm on Kai, and it looks horrible every single time. I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to be nice to Maxine. I'm sorry. It just looks bad. Dupree applied an ankle lock with a grapevine on the leg on Dakota, but that allowed Kairi Sane to hit the insane elbow. Baszler put Zayn in a Kurafita clutch as she was on the apron, allowing Zoe Stark to tag in. She hits a big super kick on Dupree, and then her and Shayna hit basically a pop-up alley-oop knee strike to Dupree for the 1-2-3. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark are now the number one contenders for the women's tag team championships. What did you think about this tag team matchup here? It was, I mean, it was kind of there for me. I'll be
Yeah,
honest. I
that's
didn't. The crowd wasn't into it, and I wasn't into it that much.
yeah, the same thing. And I think this what stood out for me, other than Shayna and um, man, I've just drawn a blank. But
Shayna and
Shayna's
Zoe.
yeah, thank you. Shayna and Zoe getting the victory. Like, other than that, Maxine's like little spotlight, because for a split second she's like, maybe you could just see that for a split second she goes, it just kind of looked like, well, maybe Gable's right type thing, maybe just doing this kind of work, or doing the hill type stuff might work for me. But that was about it. That match, it is what it is. They just put it on there, and I mean, it went by quick, and I think the right team won.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And Josh, who said the same thing, he says, right team won. And Ivy's response to the loss and them focusing on it was it was no accident. She's eventually joining Chad and Creed's group, which we will get to that in a little bit, because we had some development of more of a tease for that in the future. And yeah, Josh, yeah, it is what it is. Maxine isn't good yet, but she's improved a lot. I will say, you're seeing some confidence being built in her, but yeah, I don't think that she's a TV ready wrestler quite yet. That's just my issue with her in the matches. But very quickly, we had a pair of backstage interviews. Kayla Braxton interviews Ludwig Kaiser, who says that he wonders if Gunther was overlooked. Braxton asks Ludwig if Gunther was overlooking Jey Uso. Kaiser said Gunther has repeatedly proven that he is superior to everyone. He hoped that Jey took the loss better than Sheamus, the guy who used to love to fight, but now he sits at home and is nothing more than a keyboard warrior. Sheamus could stay home and protect his legacy, or he could come back and be put down by Ludwig Kaiser.
I thought they were going to do the thing where like they back up and Sheamus was standing right beside him.
Right behind him, yeah.
That's what I thought they were going with, but nope.
Instead, they stayed with the shot, and then they zoomed in on Kayla Braxton, zoomed out, and Drew McIntyre is here. McIntyre thought that it was funny that Pierce didn't schedule one of his biggest stars tonight. McIntyre said that Priest did not get one over on him last week. McIntyre got what he wanted, and that was a world title match. Priest was spreading himself too thin. Just like Seth Rollins, he's got Carlito, he's got the LWO, he's got the Awesome Truth and the tag team titles. And Braun Strowman, he's like, mate, he's like, you better focus on the right thing, because McIntyre planned on beating Priest soon, which, I mean, we got the report from Wrestling Observer newsletter on Friday that the rumor is that it's going to be McIntyre and Priest at Clash at the Castle next month, which makes all the sense in the world with Drew McIntyre being here. But it feels like they are, because of Drew's injury, this is another feud that feels like it's like the sixth most important thing on this show.
Yeah, and I think part of that's because Drew McIntyre, everybody, I think everybody's like more like into the CM Punk thing with him, you know, like they're not really thinking about him and Damian Priest. I do like the fact that he's pissed off at two different people though right now. I like that idea. So we'll have to see. So
see how it develops on our way to Clash at the Castle, which they're going to start the build kind of for real probably next week on Raw. Otis approaches Gable, who is already speaking and laughing with the Creed brothers. Gable told them to think about what he said as they walk away. Otis informed Gable that he apologized to Sami Zayn. Gable first was confused, but then was excited because he figured Otis was playing mind games with Zayn, pulling at his heartstrings. Gable got really close to Otis's face and wanted reassurance that Otis was going to help him. He's already worked out his passport and his travel, and Otis was agreeable, but Gable moved in even closer and wanted to hear Otis say the words, and he reluctantly said once again, no matter what. And Gable said, that's why you're my number one guy.
Yeah.
I love this new Chad Gable. This new Chad Gable might be one of my favorite characters on this show.
Oh, I think it's great, and it's going to be good stuff. I think once they get it going, because Otis is going to just be very popular, like already. They've because people are ready for it, and Chad Gable has already proven when he's a heel that he does really good work. So I'm very anxious. I don't think anxious is the right word. I'm very intrigued to see where they go with this.
Agree with you there. And then finally, we had our main event of the show, King of the Ring semifinals. First, we hear from Jey Uso, who cuts a promo in the back. He says, tonight is the night. He almost beat Gunther the last time they wrestled, and he would finish the job tonight. Gunther would catch a yeet down, and Jey would catch a crown. The camera followed Jey as he walked from the garage door, banged on the door, so they opened it up for him. He made his way through the back to the ring. Both guys, this was a nice little, one-shot camera, as they usually do on Monday Night Raw, and the entrance, all the lights was out. Big entrance for Jey Uso in Greensboro, who loved him on this show, as he went one-on-one with Gunther in the King of the Ring semifinals. Jey did his usual string of strikes as the crowd chanted yeet. He hit a big suicide dive to the floor, but moments later, Gunther drove him into the ring post and the steel steps and started his real focus of the matchup, which was on the arm of Jey Uso. Jey tried to fight back after the commercial break, but Gunther put him down, going at uppercutting the injured arm. Gunther went to the top rope, but Jey went after him. Gunther applied a Kimura as he stood on the top ropes, but Jey brought him back down with a Samoan drop off the middle rope. Jey followed with a big flying cross body. Gunther hit some hard chops and really started bruising the chest and the stomach of Jey Uso, really battering him with a barrage of strikes. He blocked a super kick and hit another thunderous chop. Jey came back with a super kick for a 2 count, then hit another super kick, stomps in the corner. Gunther shot out of the corner with a big shotgun drop kick and then hit a power bomb for a near fall. He applied an arm lock, but Jey was able to fight out of it. Gunther continued to chop down and chop at the back of Jey before Jey applied a cradle for a 2 count. Gunther booted Jey's injured arm and hit a German suplex. He hit a big splash off the top rope for a near fall. He hit a lariat for another near fall. Gunther was absolutely killing Jey in the corner with repeated chops, but Gunther didn't capitalize as he started to argue with the referee. This allowed Jey for a slight distraction, so he was able to hit a spear out of nowhere, with Gunther inadvertently knocked into the referee. Jey goes to the top rope and hits a big Uso splash, but the momentary lapse by the referee as he was still getting his composure back allowed Gunther to kick out. Jey almost seemed in disbelief as he sat up after the Uso splash, after the kick out. Gunther, though, he was not down for too long. Like a freaking Terminator, he immediately gets up, starts battering at Jey. He locks the arm into a choke, and Jey passes out. As we end the show with Gunther advancing to the finals, it really felt like they rushed the finish to this matchup, but Gunther once again advances in the King of the Ring tournament, and now he will be in the finals this Saturday against the winner of Tama Tonga versus Randy Orton on Friday Night SmackDown. Gunther has won every single tournament match in the King of the Ring with the submission so far, and I thought this was another great matchup here. What did you think, Rob? I think you're muted. Rob.
It was a great match, a fun match. I really enjoyed it. They sold me a ticket because I thought the internet, of course, was ready to burn to the ground if Jey Uso won for whatever reason, and I don't get it because they pretty much started acting like that right after Cody won the title. So you just can't make people happy, and I understand that. But they sold me a ticket because there was a point where I actually thought maybe this is how they set up Jey Uso getting back involved with the bloodline. That's the way I thought like they could do it, because that's my thing was if Jey wins, it's going to be Jey versus Tama. If Gunther wins, it's going to be Gunther versus Randy Orton. That's the way I looked at it.
I will speak for the community that did not want that. I thought that would be so bad to use the King of the Ring as a freaking tool in the Bloodline storyline.
Yeah,
I didn't think that was the right decision. I thought that Gunther and Orton was the right decision for the finals, because this whole King of the Ring tournament has been about reestablishing the King of the Ring as a big prestigious honor, and Gunther and Randy Orton in the finals does that.
Yes, exactly, and that's the thing. That's why, like, I understood. I get the point why Gunther, in my opinion, should win, but I wasn't going to lose my shit if Jey Uso, like, I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to lose it, but it was one of those things where I think the right guy won, obviously. It was a good match. It was a fun match. I feel bad for Jey Uso's chest today, but I feel bad for anybody's chest after a match with Gunther. It's just the way it is. You know what you're getting into. It sucks, I'm sure. But it was overall a fun match, and you're right. They had to hurry up. I knew they were rushing when I saw a cameraman running like towards the end of it. That was my sign that they're running out of time, because when you see a cameraman just running, they're like they got to get something done. And literally, the match was over. Michael Cole didn't even really get to say goodbye, I don't believe, and it was just
No,
gone.
he said Gunther has qualified. He will be in the King of the Ring finals this Saturday, and they already
boom.
had the lower third graphic up already.
Yeah, that's why, like, the one thing that's going to be good about like WWE going to SmackDown or WWE going to Netflix is hopefully that kind of stuff stops. You know, that's one thing I'm hoping for, because the overruns always makes it interesting. But I also kind of have to wonder, like, they get to do NXT overruns all the time, so I don't understand why they don't get to do it for Raw. So,
You know, like Raw used to be, that was the show that always got the overrun. Why is it that
yeah,
NXT gets it on the same station as
yeah,
Raw, but Raw doesn't?
yeah. I don't understand that either. I'll try to one day look into that if I don't forget. But overall, I thought it was a good match, a fun match, and Gunther's just kicking ass, man. I think he's going to be the next King of the Ring.
I agree with you. 100% there. So does Goku. He says, I need my boy Gunther to win the King of the Ring. We also got Big Man Dog says, either side could win, so it was an exciting match. I don't care that Jey is a bad wrestler. He's just corny. Damn. We got Power Driver Finisher. He says, I get Jey is over, and they could have easily gone for the more over guy as opposed to the better wrestler. Yeah, that's why I think that was why people were scared that Jey was gonna win, because he is more over than Gunther right now. So
Yeah,
we shall see. Though what they do with Jey moving forward after his loss here in the semifinals, but that brings us to a close on this episode of Monday Night Raw. Sound off in the live chat. Final call for super chat donations. But of course, you know the deal, how we do here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Give us your match of the night, your MVP, your LVP. Out of 10, what did you give the show? And a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for me and Rob Wilkins for the May 20th edition of Monday Night Raw. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board from both of us. Rob, out of 10, what did you give the show?
I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Honestly, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. I thought both the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring semifinals delivered. I thought the Sami Zayn and Alpha Academy Chad Gable stuff was excellent throughout the night. Braun Breaker looked like a force to be reckoned with. I think that it doesn't get a higher score than that, mainly because the World Heavyweight Championship and Women's World Championship have kind of taken a backseat in the build-up for the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the backseat part of that.
Who was your MVP for the show, Rob?
MVP would be, wow, that's a good question. The MVP of the show for me,
I'll give you mine. I got co-MVPs. I gave it to Chad Gable and Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to say Otis and Gable. I'm going to go the co-MVP route. I didn't really want to. I'll say this. If I had to only pick one, it'd be Otis, because I think they're setting that up.
They are. They definitely are. And they're pushing in a big way. And he's getting over because of it. So, yeah, that's fair to put in Otis as well. LVP for the show, I am going to give it to, unfortunately, I got to give it to the Judgment Day. Like the Judgment Day, just and then it seems like even more than the last couple of months, things are falling apart at the seams.
Yeah.
What about you, LVP?
Yeah, I can see that. I think the LVP for this, I mean, you can consider it part of the Judgment Day, but I think it's kind of Carlito. It was the whole like thing. The one thing I will say about this is if they go the route that I'm hoping they go, and I said at the beginning that Carlito just kind of went with it, like they saw what you did with, like they made him think like he attacked. I don't think he did the attack, because he seemed really surprised, like when they brought it up. That was my thing. The way he acted, like he didn't have any ideas. If they go that route, I would change my mind. But right now, I go with Carlito. But other than that, I don't really do the LVP much because I think everybody does their job so damn well. But yeah.
Yeah, but mostly this LVPs, a lot of time, unless it's like a bad match, it's kayfabe who was
Yeah.
the loser, the biggest
Yeah.
loser. So that's why I
Yeah.
went with Judgment Day on
Yeah.
this
Otherwise, it'd always be Kevin Dunn if we did this back in the day. So
facts or Vince.
yeah.
But yes, yeah, I gave it to that. And match of the night, I'm gonna go with Lyra versus Io. What about
Match
you?
of the night. I'm going with Jey and Gunther. I just really enjoyed the hell out of that match.
Definitely two good choices right there. But that brings us to a close on Rated Raw Review. We appreciate y'all for joining us in the live chat live. If you're watching us on demand, we appreciate you as well. Want to thank Rob Wilkins for joining me today, filling in for Romeo. Rob, let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and see all your great content across the Fightful, Overbook, Coexisting, and Fightful.com, where they can find you.
Thanks again for having me. I really do appreciate it. You can follow me at Rob Wilkins on Twitter or X. I'm also on Instagram and Threads at Fightful Rob. Every Friday at 3 o'clock on Fightful Overbooked, I co-host a show called Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. We just have a good old time talking wrestling and other nonsense. We are definitely the rated M for mature show on Fightful Overbooked and Fightful in general, because we're both ridiculous. And I'm hoping in June you can find me on the streets of Minneapolis celebrating a Minnesota Timberwolves championship victory parade. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, follow me on Twitter if you wish. I would really appreciate it. But thank you again, SP3, for having me. True Heel Heat. I always love being part of this crew. So thank you.
Rob is one of the people we always call on because he always brings the knowledge, brings in his point of view, and we love having him here on the channel. So thank you so much for filling in today. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Hill Heat. Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. Blessed place to support us when we are not here on the channel. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. Plus, the True Hill Heat Prediction Championship will be back very soon. And stay locked here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. Tomorrow, going live at 2:05 p.m. Eastern Time, we got our WWE King and Queen of the Ring preview with myself and special guests from Sportskeeda Wrestling, Kevin Kellum. We're going to be breaking down the card for this Saturday in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And join us live on Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Romeo and the gang will be here for a WWE King and Queen of the Ring watch party. And then later on that evening, we're going to have a review of the show hosted by me, and we'll see who shows up to join me. But for Rob Wilkins, it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been Rated Raw Review number 21. Yeet to sleep. We are signing off until next time. Later, y'all.